being that we talking about bars and shit, man, I got to get some shit off my chest right quick, man.
Go for it.
Because, I see a lot of stuff going on, man. I see a lot of rappers and stuff like that, and I see a lot of people freestyling. It was just some battles a few weeks ago and stuff like that, So it's a lot of hype around actually rapping, because the thing about it is people really just 99% of the time be off of like the Turn Up, the Gucci Mane, the Young Dolph, all that shit, and that's cool. Mm-hmm. And then, they want to care about bars every now and then I see like a freestyle from somebody and it'd be like it really don't be nothing going on, and cats be like, yo, this shit is fire, oh my God. And I'd be like, yo, where, how? So it's a few things I want to go over for y'all. Like, you might rap.
He done set the phone down.
You might not rap, but it's a few things I want to go over to give you an understanding of bars, man. I gotta just period, just an understanding of what makes, if you're gonna be a rapper who calls yourself like, the greatest, or you better than this nigga and shit like that. You got different lanes. So you got like a Gucci Mane, you got a Kendrick Lamar, and then you got a Drake. Like, Drake is nice on a certain level. Gucci is good at what he does, but Gucci's not the nicest rapper. And then Kendrick can rap better than Drake and Gucci, even though you might not like his music or like that. So let's just talk from a lyrical standpoint.
Well, Cass, I don't want to preface this, you know what I mean? Good. Like, because Cass might ask, who are we to have this conversation? Who are we to talk about this, that, and the third? Who are we to talk about bars, lyricists, things like that? Cass need to understand that, prior to doing this podcast, you know what I mean? Prior to us even going into this area of entertainment, like, we're an award-winning rap group and a multiple award-nominated rap group. You know what I mean? D-Town and Melody, The Creek. So
plus, we grew up battling, man. Like,
you know what I mean?
So that's what we build our shit off of.
So that's not to shun anybody or anything like that. That's not to hate on anybody. No shade, nothing like that. But, if you're thinking like, yo, what is these cats talking about?
I mean,
who are they to talk about it? We have experience in what we're talking about, so it's not something we're just pulling out of our ass.
When I give you the science behind all of this shit, it's undisputable. It's undisputable. Now, when I say this stuff,
go for it.
Understand, I'm talking from a standpoint of, I'm, niggas who say like, I'm the best rapper alive. I rap better than this nigga and stuff like that. I'm not talking about motherfuckers who are like, I'm not a rapper. So you wouldn't hold a little Uzi Vert to these standards necessarily. I'm not talking about somebody who is saying like, they're artists. I'm not even talking about somebody who's a rapper who say they're the hottest. Like, the hottest is different than, technically the best. So You can definitely be hotter than a motherfucker who raps better than you.
So that's the difference in what you're about to talk about now. The difference is being hot versus like technical skill.
Technical skill. And that's what we're about to talk about, because when you say you're a spitter, we're just going to focus on that. When you say you're a spitter and you can spit, it's certain things that I and anybody else who really knows about this shit is looking for. So let's look at punchlines real quick.
All right.
So a punchline is a metaphor or a simile. A metaphor is basically when you compare something without using the word like or as. Simile is, I don't want to get that deep.
Just an entendre.
I don't want to get that deep because I don't want to bore y'all or no shit. So, so metaphor, similes. You then have wordplay. Wordplay, I'm going to quote a bar from my dude. He had a freestyle recently. He said something like, the 4-5 make you sit calm like Seinfeld. That's wordplay because you use the word sitcom and you break it down. It has a double meaning at that point.
Yeah, it's an entendre.
Situational comedy. So yeah, exactly.
Wordplay.
And sit calm is in like, sit calmly. So
I think it would have been harder if he had to remove the like.
Hey, man. Probably.
You know what I mean?
Probably. I can't remember the bar exactly.
I'm just saying. So that's like a rap hack, like Cat's been doing.
Yeah,
like,
it just turned it into a metaphor automatically.
Yeah,
like,
when you remove that like, as, or then, it goes from make you sit calm like Seinfeld. The shit make you sit calm. Seinfeld. Pow. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's just me. Go ahead, man.
But you also have double entendres, which is kind of what we just had, something with a double meaning. But I use the Jay-Z bar all the time to get this example. I kept feeding her money until her shit started to make sense. So it has two meanings. I kept feeding her money until what she was saying started to, make sense. And then I kept feeding her money until she started shitting out change. Yeah. So it has two meanings. Mm-hmm. You can take it two different ways. Mm-hmm. So you got similes, metaphors, wordplay, double entendre. So that's all that there.
Yeah, and the thing, just to build on top of that, it's all about the listener and what their mind does. You know what I mean? It's more or less their mind. It's like a hesitation move. You know what I mean? It's like, jab step one way and you go another way. You know what I mean? If I had to give an example of what that does to a listener, it's like, that's why people are impressed by that.
It's like a crossover in basketball. Yeah. It's like when you shake the shit out of somebody in football. It's like
you're breaking somebody's ankles. So.
Yeah, it's like when you dunk on somebody in basketball. Actually, it's like what other sports is there? I don't know, man. But like when you hit a home run in baseball, I guess, and I don't know. But anyway, or when you knock a nigga out in UFC or boxing or something
when you punch Bernard Hopkins through the ropes.
Fuck yeah. And that's the whole thing. When it comes to that shit, when it comes to that skill set and certain other things, it's different levels to all of this shit. So you got certain joints that's jabs, certain punchlines or double entendres that's jabs. Then you got certain joints that's like KO punches. And very rarely do you hear a punchline that knocks a motherfucker out the ring. And I'm not talking about an opponent necessarily, but just knocks the listeners the fuck out like, wow! So it rarely happens. Now, you also have other things that I feel like, every rapper also has, if we talking about lyrics, two things. Mm-hmm. So if none of that is going on, sometimes you'll have storytelling, which goes on, self-explanatory.
Yes.
And then you'll also have perspective, which is something every rapper has. How unique is this person's point of view? Can anybody else say this shit? Mm-hmm. Is it very unique? So every rapper has, those two going on at least. Every rapper has a perspective. Right. Some niggas' perspective is just generic. I got ice on my wrist, woke up in a new Bugatti, which you can have that perspective, but there's a unique way to have it with the details you put into the shit. Mm-hmm. So my whole point with all of that, if you write a verse fuck that. If you are a listener and you listen to a verse and it doesn't have none of that in there and it don't got no funny shit, it just don't got no punchlines. It don't got a unique perspective. They're not storytelling. You got a lot of other skills that I haven't mentioned, flow and delivery and stuff like that. But if it just doesn't have that, it's really not good. And you need to step, your senses up as far as detecting that shit.
And let's bring this thing full circle, because at the beginning of this, one of the things we said was how people were reacting to
certain shit where niggas is not saying nothing. They just using big vocabulary. Some of the sentences don't even be legible and shit like that. Just my fascination with allegations is admiration. What?
Yeah.
No, cut, bro, nigga can't rap. If just let that shit go.
I mean, an example of that, for lack of a better example, I would say would be Orlando Brown.
Oh my God.
Because we're going to get back to it, but I see a lot of people online yo, is it just me or is he really killing this shit? Yo, he's a rap god. Yeah, he got bars.
This nigga, he had a song, because he been wigging out, arguing with his babe who actually let him nut inside her. I don't know how that works. No. Yeah, she pregnant.
But he got money. But to the point I make, former childhood star was on That So Raven. Now looks like he's battling some type of drug addiction, sickness, or he's just being.
But he let out what seems to be a fire song.
What appears to be a fire song, but it's because I think people hear a lot of words that rhyme, and I think his flow scheme, his flow pattern is really good, but. The man had, when you slow it down some of it and you listen to what he's actually saying.
He's not saying much.
My man said, laterally lateral, magically magical, radically radical, tragically tragical. I'm like, what are we really